So let's look at nouns now. Nouns basically are names. Names of what? Names of anything. Whether you can see that thing or you can't, whether you can feel that thing or you can't, whether you can hear that thing or you can't, it doesn't matter. As long as you can name something, it's a noun. So basically nouns are names, okay? And some important types of nouns are common nouns, proper nouns, okay? So common nouns are, so remember nouns are names. So common nouns are also names, proper nouns are also names. And the best way to understand common nouns or proper nouns is to actually compare them with each other. So for example, common noun, an example of a common noun is, let's say, boy. Whereas an example of a proper noun will be, let's say, Jack. Okay. Similarly, girl and let's say Sarah. Now what is the difference between them? The difference is that common noun is the name given to types of those things which represent those things. So for example, a boy is any boy, girl is any girl, whereas a proper noun are names given to specific individuals. So for example, Jack is a specific boy and Sarah is a specific girl, and the clue is that proper nouns will begin with a capital letter. Okay, so that's the difference between common nouns and proper nouns. Another type of nouns of something similar, countable and uncountable. Okay, so countable nouns, the best way to understand the difference between countable nouns and uncountable nouns is, suppose I ask you, what are stars? Are stars countable or uncountable? Now, at least in my experience, most students say that they are uncountable, and the mistake that they are making is that they're thinking about, oh, we can't count the stars, so obviously they are uncountable. But that's not the meaning, or that's not the difference between countable and uncountable. It's not, if something is physically impossible to count, that doesn't make that thing uncountable. Okay, so given enough time and energy and even inclination, I think at least a machine will be able to count stars. But that's not the point. So the point is, the difference is that uncountable nouns do not have a plural form, which means they don't have an S or an ES form, and they cannot be preceded with an or an which means they cannot begin or start with or an because they just have one form, whereas countable nouns have both of these things. So for example, let's say the difference between, so suppose I say girl, so this is one girl, and if I say girls, these are many girls, so that is what makes them countable. Similarly, if I say a star and stars, so both the conditions are being fulfilled in case of countable nouns. They can be preceded with an or an and they can have a plural form, an S or an ES form. Whereas, let's compare this with water. Okay, can I say a water? No, I cannot. Can I say waters? No, I cannot. And that is what makes a noun uncountable. It just has one form. You really cannot count it. So for example, information, there is nothing known as an information. There is nothing known as informations. Okay. Similarly, advice, there is nothing known as an advice, even though some people say an advice, but technically it is wrong. So you shouldn't say give me an advice. Because there is nothing known as advices, you should say give me some advice, or I need a piece of advice. Okay, so that is the difference between countable and uncountable nouns. Remember, the trick is that whenever you come across a noun, any noun, let's say, try to apply both of these tricks. Okay, so can that noun begin with, or can I put an a or an and before it? And if the answer is yes, then it is countable. Similarly, can I make that noun plural? If the answer is yes, then again it is countable. But if the answer is no in both the cases, then it is uncountable. Okay, so that is the difference between countable nouns and uncountable nouns.